Now, the uranium sector over the last 5 years has been really strong on a tear up, but over 22 been a bit slower, a bit more of a bumpy ride, but there is signs of more demand there, and the nuclear power sector is certainly looking a lot stronger. So that means good news for uranium stocks. And in this video, I'm going to take you through 6 of my favorites. I'm also going to give you an ETF, which can give you exposure to the whole sector if you don't want to dabble in those individual stocks. So with that, let's get on with the shortlist. First up is one of my favorites, the Cameco Corporation from the US. Now, they're an integrated uranium supplier and they offer refining, conversion, fuel manufacturing services, operating in 2 segments, uranium and fuel services. Interesting stock. Do this stuff all over the globe, down in Australia, Canada. And looking at that stock price, it's been pretty good growth, bit bumpy you could say on the way up there, just trying to get up to those highs once more after that little bit of a pullback. In terms of targets, maybe 32, 33, 44 area, and then 50 to the upside. So that then takes us on to Uranium Energy Corp, which is another US stock, and with their subsidiaries they get involved with the exploration, pre-extraction, the extraction, processing of uranium as well as titanium in the Americas, in the US, Canada and Paraguay. Now, in terms of stock price action, again, not bad growth but pretty volatile, much more so than Cameco. Pulled back quite a bit down into this sort of consolidation area, and we'll be looking for a push up to the early 5s, then late 6s, and then sort of the 9 area as a short to medium term upside target. Now we have the greatly named Yellow Cake Plc from the UK. They're a specialist company operating in the uranium sector, involved in the purchase and holding of uranium oxide concentrates, exploitation of other uranium related opportunities. So again, a interesting stock to have a look at. Again, growth over the last 2 years, pulled back 22 early, and then it started to push on upwards once more. Got to get through those highs, just under 500, then it's to over 600, and then 700 on the way up to the higher targets. Back to the States again for our 4th selection. It's Centrus Energy Corporation, supplier of nuclear fuel and services for the nuclear power industry. It's into segments like low rich uranium and technical solutions, and pretty much a similar story to the others. It's had growth, and like I said, up until early or late 21 doing particularly well, and then a really big pullback, but it's shown encouraging signs of growth in the second half of 22, just pulling back to that Fibonacci line around $36-37, and for targets to the upside we'd probably want just under 60, then those highs around 90, and then into the 120, 125 sort of area to the upside. Now we're off down under to Australia. Paladin Energy Limited develops, explores, operates uranium mines across the world, Australia, Canada, Africa, and as you can see from the price chart, it's been growing steadily. Less of a pullback than others, maybe into this sort of channel setup, flag setup before bouncing on up. It's got to get through, I suppose, 0.89, then the early ones, and then up to 1.5 for those upside price target zones. And finally, we've got Canadian stock Global Atomic. You can also trade these in the US. They provide a combination of high grade uranium mine development and cash flowing zinc concentrate production. Now, share price has been growing as per the others. Interesting block of activity between the, say, 3 to 5 zone, pulling back to that Fibonacci, key Fibonacci line, 61.8%. Hopefully we'll be looking for a push back up to the early 5s, break those highs, and then it's into the early 7s and early 8s to the upside. So there's our 6 uranium stocks to watch out for later in 22 and into 23. But what if you don't want the exposure to those individual stocks? Well, you could consider an ETF, and I'm going to look at one now. So these sort of ETFs can seriously aid your stock trading if you're looking at the individual uranium stocks, because they paint the picture of the sector overall. You can see how it's performing, and you can time your way in maybe to the strong sector. Now in front of you we've got the Global X Uranium Etf, ticker URA. It's on a weekly Heikin-Ashi chart, so we've got a good long-term picture, and it paints the same sort of story as we've been talking about, that considerable growth over the last few years and a bit of weakness over 22, but looking like consolidation around the 17-18 area in terms of price. And if you're of a bearish persuasion, you might be saying that's building up some sort of heads and shoulders type pattern for a move down here. But if you are bullish, you'll be looking at this trend line saying, well, this could be the support for the push up there. Now in terms of signals, we've got bullish in the much longer term trend. Shorter term just turned a bit negative. Reasonable amount of volatility in there, about 40% volume. You can see that, you know, increasing the popularity of this ETF with, you know, a load more volume than just a few years ago, just tailing off slightly, but still good enough at the moment. So that gives you the picture of the uranium ETF. And like I say, if you don't want to play with the smaller stocks, uranium stocks, then get yourself onto an ETF to, you know, get that exposure to the sector. Now, if you're wondering where you can trade those stocks and ETF from wherever you are in the world, may I introduce you to my broker Tiger Brokers, where all of those stocks and the ETF are available. Good thing with Tiger Brokers is they cover off many different countries: US, Australia, UK, and well as futures and options. But for the purpose of these uranium stocks, they're all here, and in front of you is that ETF typed in the ticker URA, and there you go. Now I'll put a link in the description below this video if you want to check them out some more. But that's it for our look at uranium into the last quarter of 22 and into 23. Let me know in those comments below what you think of my selection. Would you have added any others, taken some of those away? Let me know, love to hear your thoughts. And if you've liked today's video, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell buttons. And all that's left for me to say is thanks for watching, good luck with the trading, and I'll see you in the next video.